clusters are 24, and form can be of 8 kinds. The Buddhas are 24, and 2 kinds of successors of the victors. There are 108 doctrines, and 3 hearers too. The field of the enlightened is 1, and so the enlightened state too is 1. Liberations are also 3, mental streams are of 4 kinds. Selflessness is of 6 kinds to me, and information of 4 kinds. Unconnected to causes, free of the failings of opinion. To be known first-hand, imperturbable, the great vehicle is unsurpassed. Origination and non-origination are 8-fold and 9-fold. The aim to be achieved, realized at once or gradually, is 1. The formless realm is of 8 kinds, divisions of meditation 6 kinds. The emancipation of individual successors of the victors is 7-fold. The 3 times are not even there. Permanence and impermanence don't exist. Occupation, work, and reward are like actions in a dream. The Buddhas have no end or beginning, and hearers, heirs of the victors too. Thought detached from objects is always like an illusion. In the womb, in the dominion, leaving the caste, in the abode of satisfaction. They appear to have gone to all lands too, but not those born from the womb. Procedure, pathway, wisdom, instruction, and extinction, truth and enlightenment of a realm too, must be directed by needs, according to conditions. Worlds, soma, a continent of the terrestrial world. The sacred path of selflessness, meditation, vehicles, receptacle, attainment, the inconceivable realm of reward, the moon and families of stars, families of kings. The abode of the gods, families of demons and angels, are born of action, originating in craving. Inconceivable transformation. Death is related to impressions. With the non-existence of death of what has been cut off, the net of afflictions is destroyed. Money, grain, and gold, land and property, are falsely imagined. Cattle and sheep too, and servants, as well as horses and elephants and so on. One should not sleep on a bed of nails, or smear on earth. One should not have a bowl made of gold or silver, brass or copper. The yogi should always dye white cloth indigo, or reddish-brown with cow dung, or cardamom fruits and leaves. Let a yogi keep a bowl made of stone, clay, iron, conch shell, or quartz. A curved knife for cutting things should be 4 fingers' breadth long. A yogi whose principal object is yoga should not study arts and sciences. Buying and selling should not be done by a yogi practicing yoga. I say this duty should be done by caretakers. Senses guarded, knowing the meaning accurately in scripture and discipline. Not involved with householders. That I call a yogi. A yogi should arrange a dwelling place in an empty house, or a graveyard, under a tree or in caves, in straw or out in the open, always covered with 3 garments, in a graveyard or anywhere else. Whatever is donated should be used gratefully for a garment. One intent on begging looks ahead the length of a yoke. One should practice begging the way bees treat flowers. To be in a crowd, or involved in a group, or among nuns, that is social intercourse. It is not suitable for yogis. A yogi whose principal object is yoga should not instruct kings, princes, statesmen, or magnates for the sake of food. The food of a house where a birth or death has taken place, full of the affection of friends, with monks and nuns gathered together, is not suitable for yogis. Even in a monastery where cooking is always done according to rule, anything made on demand is not suitable for yogis. A yogi should contemplate the world as free from origination and dissolution, apart from ideas of being and non-being, at once the described and description. A yogi who does not conceive an origin will soon be endowed with concentration and power, super-knowledges and masteries too. One should not think in terms of the agencies of atoms, time, or primal matter or spirit. A yogi should not imagine the world as coming from causes and conditions. The evident world construed by subjective imagination is produced from impressions. The yogi should always see the world as analogous to illusion or a dream. Always seeing without denial or attribution. One should not imagine the triple world as body, property, and abode. Prepared food is assured keeping the body erect. Having repeatedly paid respects to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Drawing truth like a yogi from discipline and the expedients in scripture. One should perceive the subjective thought of the five elements, and selflessness. The stages and Buddhahood are inherently pure. Let the yogi recognize this, and be consecrated on a giant lotus. Having wandered through all ways of life, one sorrowful in mind on account of the world, begins yogas, having gone to a suitable quiet place apart. The yogi sees the form of moon and sun together with rays of light like lotus leaves, bright as fire in the sky. But wondrous appearances lead to cultism. They cause a fall into discipleship. In the domain of individual victors. Having cleared all these away. When one is beyond the range of the senses, then sunbeams from Buddha's hands come together from all lands corresponding to verity. And clean one's head, the causal ground. There is formless being apart from eternity and annihilation. Those who abstain from assertions of reality or unreality will construe it as the middle. They construct a notion of purposeless annihilation in a doctrine of causelessness. By not comprehending external existence, they will negate the middle. They will not be free of grasping being as long as they maintain a notion of annihilation. They will teach the middle with attribution and denial. Detached from external things by knowing their only thought, the way of cessation of false imagination. That is the middle. As mind alone, they are not seen. Without objects, it is not born. This is the middle way taught by me and others. Origination and non-origination, being and non-being too are emptiness. The essencelessness of things should not be construed as two. Using the function of imagination, the ignorant do not consider being as liberation. Grasping duality is not relinquished by understanding with the function of thought. Grasping duality is relinquished by recognizing objects of subjective thought. For relinquishment is comprehension that does not annihilate imagination. By perfect understanding of subjective thought, false imagination does not go on. Verity without the activity of false imagination is apart from thought. When manifestation is seen without the errors of dogmatics, that is abstention from externalizing by the knowledgeable, not due to annihilation. Buddhahood comes from realizing this, it is taught by me and the Buddhas. Thinking otherwise is a consequence of dogmatism. Procreated beings are unborn, and the permanent perish. The reflection of the moon in water is seen at once in millions of lands. Unity being multiple, they reign and they burn. Mind being made of thought, they bespeak the content of mind. Thought alone, in thoughts too, is an ignorant product of thought. The various appearances of form come to be in the content of mind. In the forms of Buddhas, of hearers, like solitary victors, and various other forms, they speak of the content of mind. The form of the formless, by states without form. And the infernal form of hells are shown to people as evidence of the content of mind. The detached attain magic-like concentration. And also a mental body, the 10 stages and the masteries. By delusions of subjective thought, also quickened by elaboration, the naive are bound by conception to what is seen, heard, thought, and cognized. Appearance is relative. What name is there is invented. Imagined appearance is produced from the relative. When examined intelligently, there is neither relative nor imagined. And there is no absolute existence. How could it be invented by intelligence? Reality is experienced as absolute apart from being and non-being. How can the two natures exist without being or non-being? It is in imagined nature that the two natures are established. The imagined appears diverse, the realm of the wise pure. For an artificial variety is imagined in the relative. Imagining otherwise would be based on dogmatic doctrine. Creating in the mind is called fiction by discernment coming from motivating impulses. What's independent of the two fabrications, that is the absolute. A land and Buddhas are projections, one vehicle and three as well. No great nirvana. All are empty, without origin. The 36 kinds of Buddhas, each with 10 divisions, are flows of people's thoughts, not related to lands. Just as imagined existence seems to appear diverse without diversity in it, so does the Buddha's teaching seem to the world. The Buddha is the reality Buddha. The rest are its emanations. People see the continuum of subjective seeds as visions of Buddha. Imagination starts from fixation on appearances due to confusion. Imaginations and actuality are not other. Nor are reasons and assumptions. The Buddha as inherent, as perfect enjoyment, as the projected that is projected as 5. As the group of 36 Buddhas, must belong to the inherent. In blue, red, and salt, shell, milk and cream are rays of light like fragrant fruits and flowers in the sun. Like waves and the ocean are not different yet not different, thus are the 7 consciousnesses connected with mind. That variety in the waves is alteration in the ocean. Thus does the receptacle function variously, known as consciousness. Mind, intellect, and consciousness are distinguished for the purpose of description. The 8 are undivided, neither the defined nor the definition. Just as there is no difference in the waves of the ocean, no alteration of the consciousnesses is found in the mind. Habit is accumulated by the mind, and dissolved by the intellect. By consciousness one distinguishes the perceptible, divided into 5. Consciousness appears to people as blue and red. Tell me, great sage, whence is the similarity of waves and thoughts? For blueness and red are not in the waves. Activity in the mind is described to the ignorant for the purpose of definition. No function belonging to it can be found. One's own mind is apart from what is grasped. If there is the grasped, grasping is substantiated with the waves. Consciousness appears to people as body, property, and abode. Thus its function is perceived as in the case of waves. The ocean appears to be dancing because of the presence of the waves. How could the function of the receptacle thus not be taken for an ocean? It is on account of the weakness of understanding of the simple that the receptacle is like the action of the waves of the ocean is adduced as an example. Just as the sun rises equally on people low and high, thus do you, illuminator of the world, teach truth to the ignorant. Having made it an abode in the midst of phenomena, why do you not declare the truth? If you declare the truth, indeed, truth is not found in thought. Like waves of an ocean, as in a mirror, in a dream, they are seen all at once, so is mind in its own domain. It is due to lack of horizons that gradual development takes place. One discerns by consciousness, and then thinks by intellect. What is perceptible to the 5 senses united has no successive order. Just as a teacher of painting, or some student of painting, will direct the coloring for the purpose of the picture, so is my instruction. The picture is not in the color, or in the surface or object it's on. A picture is constructed of colors in order to attract people. Instruction varies, while truth is beyond words. On the basis of principle, I point out truth to yogis. Truth attained firsthand apart from the contrived and contrivance. I teach to heirs of the victor. Instruction of the ignorant is otherwise. Just as illusion seems diverse but isn't actually there, so does instruction seem diverse, varying in usage. For what is instruction for one is not instruction for another. Just as one administers medicine for each particular illness, so do Buddhas tell people the content of mind. Imagination starts with the seed of external impressions. The relative is whereby it grasps. What it grasps is artificial. The graspable external object comes about depending on mind. Confusion operates in two ways. There is no third cause. Since confusion occurs, so does what it depends on. I speak of mind as six-fold, 12-fold, and 18-fold. Being connected to what is grasped of subjective seeds, grasping of self disappears.